Hey everyone, this is Heather here again, and this is going to be our second Bullseye Weekly Recap and review. So what we are going to do today is go over some of the best plays from last week, some of the winners, some of the losers as well, and then we'll see if there are plays that were posted yesterday or that were posted on Friday that might work well the next week. So hopefully this is going to be prove useful to anyone who is using the Bullseye tool. We had over $50,000 in profits from this tool for just this week. So that's some stats for you because I wanted to mention those stats, and this tool has just been working so great, which is why we have to create an entirely new series for it so that we can recap it and review some of its plays. So let's start. So as you can see, I've applied the high confidence and non-zero profits filter. So as you might know, I only want to sort of go with plays that have high confidence, and that's what I'd recommend everyone else as well. If you're familiar with the tool and if you're experienced in it, then you can also sort of remove these filters and look at all plays. But if you're new, then I'd recommend you stick with the high confidence filter. So let's see what we've got. So these are all from Friday, May 28th. So I'm going to skip these, and then I'm going to sort of go to the ones prior to that, because these alerts are all valid right now. So they might pan on Monday or maybe Tuesday. So we won't talk about them in the start. We'll talk about them at the end of this video. So here are some signals from 27th. So this is Thursday, and then we have Wednesday. And so let's start with, so we have the BB signal, and you can see that this went up about 200%. So right away we have a 200% profit signal that we are going to look at. So this came at 13:46:27, so late in the day. And you might know that this week was the week of meme stocks. This week was the week of GME, AMC, BB, Nokia, and a few other stocks. So this signal actually came for 2 straight days. So BB, I believe, came on Wednesday as well, and then on Thursday as well. And since it came late Thursday, the expectation was that it will probably pan out on Friday, which it did, and these profits are from Friday. So let's actually look at the 15-minute chart. So looking at the daily chart first, let me show you something. So you can see there are these two moving averages that we had not crossed for a few months. On Thursday, we actually crossed both the 20 and 50 moving average. We had done that on Wednesday, so an entry on Wednesday would be decent as well, but the signal came on Thursday. So on Thursday, you can see that we are above both the 50 and 20 moving average. So that's a positive sign. When we are above these averages, that means we are in an uptrend. When we are below these, that means we are in a downtrend. So a small uptrend had already started when this signal came in. The next day, so the signal came in at about 10. Let's actually see. The signal came in when the stock was at 9.9. The next day, we opened at a high of 12.09. So right at the beginning of the next day, we already had our 200% profits. And if you have seen me sort of go into these plays, I always recommend doing 2 plays, so buying 2 contracts, then selling one at 100 or 200% profits, and then keeping the other for an exit later on. So let's look at the 15-minute chart. Alright, so this is 26, and this is where the signal came in. So you can see that, let's actually draw the lines and see if we can, okay, so you can see that there is this resistance line. This is actually this is a slightly better line, and the signal came in at 13, so probably around here, right? And you can see that we had a resistance line. We could not cross it, but look at this moving average line right below the price. We also had a 20 moving average line, which was acting as a beautiful support. So one, and then we also couldn't go below it. And then we also had the anchored VWAP. So I talk about confidence a lot. We had 3 confidence factors here. We had 3 different types of dynamic supports right below the current price, and then we had 1 resistance. So what you'll actually do is you wouldn't enter here. You just wait until there is a better setup, because this might be a good setup, because we know the price might actually not go below all these 3 levels. So we can just enter right away, and the price will hopefully go up and break this resistance level, because this resistance level wasn't that strong. But a much better entry would be right at the open of the next day, May 28th, because you can see that this resistance has now been crossed. We are above all 3 dynamic supports, anchored VWAP, 50 moving average, and 20 moving average, and we just crossed a resistance level. And look at the volume. Always look at the volume when you are playing breakouts. So right at this point in time, so you enter right away, right here. So you enter, and then I think in just 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to have your 200% profits already. So you just exit, because you can see that there is this huge red candle. So this is an inverted hammer. And what you can see here is the price went up, but there was so much bearish pressure, and look at the volume again. And as I have talked about in some of the other videos, when you have high volume on selling or on red candles, always be concerned and just get out. So this was one example, and you can see that we went all the way to 12.09, but we came all the way back to about 11.42. So that was a huge candle. You would have exited at the end of that candle. So again, at least 100 to 200% profits in just 30 minutes. So that's how you played. You could have played it here, but since we always stick with sort of, we enter when we touch a support or when we cross a resistance level. We touched a support here, so either the entry would have been here, or you actually enter right at the start of the next day. So that's it. This was an easy one. Let's see what else have we got. So we have GME. I think we should talk about GME and AMC as well, since those were some huge winners last week. So let me actually draw the lines. All right, I wanted to draw this line, so I'm going to remove these, and I want to draw this line, this one. So you can see 1, 2, 3. We hit that line 3 times, and that was a resistance line. And now so I'm not going to talk about this specific alert for GME, because we had some alerts that went up about, I believe for GME we had 5 alerts last week that went up about 500% each. So those were like huge profits. And both for AMC, I think we had one that went up about 800% for AMC, and then and for BB BlackBerry, you have seen that one went up 200%. So those were like 1,000 2,000% profits. But I'm going to talk about those sort of the price action in general, and how, since there were so many buy call alerts by the tool last week, I'm just going to talk about the price action in a more general way, so that you can understand how you would go into all of those buy call alerts, because there were just so many last week for AMC, BB, GME, and some other. So you can see we have this resistance on the daily chart, and we have touched it 3 times. And if you know, if you remember the lessons from other videos, whenever we keep touching a level, it eventually breaks. So I was waiting for this level to break here, but this was only the second time, so it didn't break. The third time, I was again waiting for this level to break, and finally you can see that on Tuesday it actually broke. So no matter if there was sort of a lot of hype behind GME last week, or if there was not, you would have your entry right here when we closed above this resistance level. So you should wait for the close, and as soon as we are about to close and you see that the Bullseye had issued buy call signals, you are going to enter here, because we have broken that resistance level. And look at the uptick in the volume. So you can see there was no volume all sort of through this consolidation period, but as soon as this candle came, look at the uptick. There was an uptick in the volume. That means the volume has increased, so you just go in. If you had done that, you would not have needed any other signals from Bullseye for GME, because there were two signals from Bullseye here and here, and then we had a final sort of sell call signal about here. So you just enter here. You would have entered at about 216. You would have entered calls, and the next day you would have gone to 248, and then the next day you actually go to 264. So let's see. So from 216 to 264, that's like a $40-50 increase in GME, and that amounts to about 500-600% profit. So there was one very clear setup on the daily chart last week that you could have used. Let's see if there was a same setup on the 15-minute chart. Yes, look at this. So we had this resistance level. We couldn't break it here. Then we finally broke it here. Look at the uptick. Look at the slight uptick in the volume, but this was not really a good breakout. But still, we went above this level, and then look at this volume. So as soon as volume started to pick in, as soon as the volume started to kick in, not pick in, my apologies. As soon as the volume started to kick in, you would have entered, because we have a support right below the current price. Like, it's so close. And again, talking about the confidence factors, look at what we have below this level. We have the anchored VWAP, let's say, we have the 20 moving average, and we have the 50 moving average. So we have actually 4 support levels here, right on these three candles. So you would just enter, and then you exit probably around here, maybe, or maybe around here, because you have broken both moving averages, or wherever you want. So the exit is up to you, because the profits were so much, it was totally up to you to exit when you want to. The same thing happened with AMC. So if you actually go to a last week's video or the video before that, you'll see that I talked about not entering into GMC until we broke this level. So this was 14 or 15 level. Until we broke this, I talked about not going into AMC, and that was when we were here. So the very next few days, you can see that we tried to cross that level, but we couldn't, and then we just went back. Where did we go back to? We went back to the 20 moving average. Then we had this green candle, but you would not enter here. Where would you enter? Again, you would enter when we are closing at this candle, because again, look at the uptick in the volume. The volume increased, and we finally crossed that final resistance level. This was a very weak resistance level. So this was not really resistance level. This was a much better one, because we had touched it at least 3 or 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like we kept touching it, but we couldn't cross it. And then finally, when we did, that would have been your entry. And that's it. You don't need to sort of look into anything else. You don't need to buy into any hype. You need to trade the price. You need to trade based on price action and then signals from the tool. So this would have been your entry, and then I think this would have probably given you 1000% profits by this time. This actually, I believe the price actually doubled last week, maybe more than double, because we entered on about 16 and then the high was 36. So actually more than double, which in option terms is like 1000% profits. So that's it about the meme stocks. I really wanted to sort of show you how there were very clean setups on the charts last week. You did not have to buy into the hype or sort of look into anything else. The price was giving you an exact entry that you should have used. So let's see. All right, so we have this NVIDIA alert that actually went down 300%. So this was sort of a huge loser. The reason it actually went down is because the tool asked everyone to sell their NVIDIA calls, but those calls just kept going up. So 624. Let's see what happened with NVIDIA. It's 649. All right. So I'll show you something on the daily chart first. So we have one resistance level here, which is now a support level since we're above it, and we have one level here, right? And the signal came on 27th. So before even going to the 15-minute chart, you should know, just based on looking at this chart now, that there was no entry on a bearish alert. So call sell either means if you have your calls, just sell them, or it means you can actually sell calls, like sell to open calls, like right call contracts. So if you wanted to sell your calls, that would have been okay, obviously, but there was no bearish setup here, because look at, until we have not crossed this support level, we should not go bearish. So remember, please follow the levels. No matter what the tool says, you always have to stick with these levels. So until the tool crosses this level, so let's say the next day, on Friday, the tool actually crosses below this level. Now that's your entry. Just go into that sell call alert, maybe buy a put, because that's a bearish signal. Just go into it. That's a decent entry, and then this is probably your exit, because we have a we have a moving average support below. So you have to wait for these levels to break before you enter. So that's the lesson there. There was no entry for that particular signal. Let's see. So we had BAB actually had 2 signals, I believe. Yeah, one went up like 700%, and then the second went up about 300% as well. So let's see what happened here. This came in on Wednesday. So this was, the price action isn't clear, so I'm actually going to open up the 15-minute chart. All right, so the signal came in, where is PA? Right in the morning on 26. So 26 is here. So the signal came in around here, right? So let's zoom in, let's draw our levels, and then let's zoom in. So the signal came in here, yep, right around here at this candle. So let's zoom out again. All right, so you can see we had a resistance level, so a pretty beautiful level. So we had a resistance level that we had not crossed up till now, and when the signal came in, we had just crossed that resistance level. Again, look at the volume. The volume had a huge uptick in it when we crossed that level. The very next candle, we actually tried to break that level, but we couldn't. And again, look at the volume. The volume was half the first candle. So that means the volume on the uptick was much larger than the volume on the downtick, which means there is still more bullish strength. And since the signal is a buy call, we still have an entry. So this you would actually enter right here at this candle, because this is a support. You always want to enter on supports, and you would set your stop loss somewhere below this 20 moving average, because we have been respecting this for quite some time and it's right below the current price. So just set it right below it, like somewhere around here. You can see that we never crossed it, like we never crossed this support level, and then this became flat for a while, but we never went below the support level. So that's really important. But your stop loss would somewhere be around here, right? Which never got which never hit, and then you'd enter here, because again we are right at a support level, and then you just ride it, because the next day the price went up a lot. So you take your profits and you earn a lot of money. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's see. We have AMC. You can see 1200% profits. Let's see what else we had. TIGR. I don't know why this went up so much, but I remember seeing it and thinking why the confidence is so high. You can see 76%. And this actually came at the end of the day, like 8 minutes before market close, and the next day we had a gap up, and then that was just crazy. So you can see right here we had a resistance. So this would already, if you were in the contact, you would have exited already, because we have a resistance here. We have a support level here, so that's good. But the signal came in, let's see, 24. So the signal came in around here. So there is no setup on the daily chart, apart from the fact that we are at a support level here. All right, so we are at a support level here, but this is not sort of the best support. We have a support below it. So on the daily chart, there is nothing really. So let's look at the 15-minute chart. So this is where the signal came in, I believe this, right? And we had a resistance. Let's actually just draw the levels. We had a resistance level here as well, right? The next day, you can see that we opened up much higher than the price from the last day. So you couldn't really sort of enter here, because let's say you missed the first 10 minutes. Then what you're going to do is you're going to enter on the pullback. So probably around here, because you can see now we are in a smooth uptrend. And when you are in a smooth and heavy uptrend, then you can always enter on the second wave. So there are always 2 or 3 waves. In the first wave, let's say we have this huge rally, a lot of people are going to enter here, but everyone that missed the entry, they are going to enter on the second wave. So you can probably enter on the support of these dynamic moving averages, and then you probably go up. And this is, you can see this is a resistance, so you exit right away. So this was a slightly harder sort of signal to follow, because as you can see, there was no entry right here. You would not know that you could have entered right here, because again we had a resistance level. So you wouldn't enter when the signal came in. You would actually wait, see that the price moved up so much the next day, then probably enter somewhere around here. So that's again that gives you about sort of 300% profits. Now let's actually, just to keep this video short, let's actually go to some of the signals from Friday and see where their entries lie. So we have a plug signal. So look at this one. So this one also, so on Friday we only had 5 signals, and 2 of them were sell calls. So I'm just going to ignore them, and I'm going to go into SQ, PLTR, and plug. So let's look at plug. We have just crossed the 50 moving average. So just note that we are on a resistance though. So look at this. We are on a resistance. So no entry right away. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. We have been going up quite nicely on the 15-minute chart. So still no entry. So until, let me show you. All right. Until we cross this level, this intraday resistance right here, there is no setup here. So we can see that we have a support below the current price. We have a 50 moving average support that we have been respecting quite well in the last couple of days. But you either enter here, this would be one decent entry, not the best entry, but an okay entry, or you actually wait for the break of this level before you enter on that plug call alert. So let's see what happens there. We'll come back to it next week. Then we have PLTR, I believe very similar setup, because we kept going all week, and then look at where we have stopped. So that's why you need to use these anchored VWAPs. You can see the volume was high, but we could not break out on the daily chart from this high. We went up, we went down. So this is a very bad candle. Let's see when PLTR came in. So this actually came in right at the start of the day. 23 was the stock price. Let's see what was the high. 24.75. So about 25. So this did go up like during intraday. When this came in, this did sort of give you profits if you entered right away. Let's see. 28. So this came in. Let me see, PLTR 951. So this came in around here. Not a good time, because the very next candle, you can see we actually started to reverse. So right now, there seems to be a decent entry here, but we don't have that many confluence factors because we are below the 20 moving average. We are slightly above the 50 moving average, but still that's not something that interests me. So I'll actually wait until we have a better setup here. This right at the sort of the start of this would have been a decent entry because the volume was picking up, but other than that there was just no entry here. So this is where the trading sometimes gets hard. So you can see that there are no levels. So even if you had followed this level, the next level was somewhere around here, and this actually became a level during the day. So this was not a level when we were at this candle, so you should remember that. And there was no way for us to sort of enter right at this candle if you, let's say, if you're not in front of your computer in the first 15 minutes, and the signal actually came in at around here. So that's again no entry here. If you had entered, let's say, around here, then you would just exit, because look at the distance between the price and the moving average. So again, you want the price to pull back on the supports or on moving averages, or be close to the moving averages and then breaks out of a resistance level in order to have really good entries. So please follow that. Here we can see that that was not the case. It was the case right when the price started to go up, but not the case here. The distance is just too high here, so you wouldn't enter. Let's wait for a better setup. And then we have one more, so let's do SQ. So on the daily chart, again, does not look that good. We have a resistance, a support level here, and the price action was not that good. All right, so this actually looks, let me draw a few lines. So we have a support level here and we have a resistance level. So this looks good because we have a decent resistance level. So what I do is I'll just keep my eye on this 225 level, and as soon as we cross it, because we have been hovering over this hovering around this level for quite some time, so as soon as I cross this, that's my buy call entry from Bullseye. So the Bullseye tells me that there is going to be a good entry. That entry is what I'm going to look for, and as soon as it's there, I'm going to enter it. So that's it for this week's Bullseye recap. There were so many winners. Obviously there were some losers as well, but I think the most of the profits came from the meme stocks, and it was not a fluke. If you know any price action, or if you have seen any of our videos, you would have entered on those breakouts, because those were clear resistance levels being broken, and those were your clear entries, which would have given you again a lot of profits. But other than that, BA was a good one, PLTR not so good, and then there were so many other good ones as well. So please sort of watch these videos and subscribe to our channel. And if you learn anything from these videos, if you don't learn anything from these videos, please let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this.